You're listening to The Ripple Affect with your hosts, Cheech and Nippy, a podcast that explores how individual change has the capacity to affect the whole.
From neuroscience to donuts, we're two sisters with a deep curiosity for ancient wisdom and modern knowledge, and we're obsessed with learning alongside you because we don't know. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ripple Effect podcast. This is a techie episode. So what you're going to hear is an episode that is broken up. One conversation from about 8 months ago and one conversation from this month. It's all about AI from our personal perspectives. And again, we're not tech people. This isn't a tech podcast, but we felt it was important to share with you, our community, because this is a giant change catalyst in our world right now. And we just wanted to get some info out there about it.
Yeah, and hopefully be a bridge if you're not using it, or if you are, how do we help each other inside of this exponentially expanding and runaway train that may be AI. So I want to partner with my community to navigate this change together.
And I think it's clear from this conversation, you'll get, information on both sides of the spectrum, whether it's going to be an amazing thing that changes the world for the better or the collapse of everything. we cover both sides of it and
our personal interactions with it thus far.
Mm-hmm. So we hope that you get value as always from this, and DM us with any information that you feel pertinent that you want to add to the conversation or just talk about.
Yeah, this is going to be a continuing thread because AI is infiltrating, to say it like in the worst case scenario, but best case, it's becoming something that we all are interacting with one way or another.
Whether you know it or not.
The change is upon us, and that's what this podcast is about. So enjoy these two conversations.
We'll see you on the flip side. I think one of the biggest shifts that our generation is going to experience right now, and the most change that we're going to see, might be upon us
with
AI.
Mm-hmm. And Issa, you signed up for the Tony Robbins
AI Advantage Summit. So it was a 3-day event with speakers, and I had Kiara listen in on some of it with me, and I was pretty impressed with where AI is right now and where it's going, at least how they framed it. I think they did a good job of framing it as being a useful tool, as learning etiquette on interacting with it so that it can be your thought partner and not just be a thought leader, not just kind of take over and do what it wants to, but really like utilizing it to free up your time and give you back time and do the activities that are just complex computing that you don't need to do anymore because AI can do it for you and can do it infinite times better than you could.
Crazy, right? I think there's a couple of things that are legitimately surprising to me when you said that a lot of people don't use AI currently. We're talking about ChatGPT, Claude, or any of the other services like schedulers or anything that other companies, like Calendly, have used an AI. Google obviously has their search engine AI. So all of it is large language models. I think that's an important distinction. When we talk about augmented intelligence or artificial intelligence, rather, that is this actually intelligent? And it isn't reasoning, but large language models are so good at recognizing patterns and predicting the next word that it appears like reasoning. Old MacDonald had all of us can pretty much predict the next word.
Yeah.
Or even Old MacDonald and then what's the next word? And large language models do that so well. So their ability to compute, to predict and behave in ways that look like reasoning doesn't mean they're intelligent, but it sure as hell is better at that type of pattern recognition and prediction than humans
And
on a scale.
And holding all the information that the internet has.
Yeah.
They were talking about how ChatGPT had all this information on their main competitor. And they were questioning, how is this possible? And then realized, oh, the competitor put all their information into ChatGPT, their business plans, all their stuff. So that brings up a point of being aware of what you put into it and give what information you do give it. It's just like social media. Once it's out there, it's out there.
There's no,
there is a toggle button that I remember you talked to me about, where you have the choice to let it use the information you're putting in to
train it.
Mm-hmm. And to not only train it, because even when you don't give it access to utilize your information for other people to use to have it grow, it still trains based off of, it has some capacity for memory based off of your.
And ChatGPT didn't, but Claude did for a little bit. And I think now ChatGPT is catching up with that. There's also, and this isn't a tech podcast, so we're not going to go too much into it, but just so like helping of what you were saying, I think this is the biggest change. So to me, what can I do for my community? Share my opinion, but be like, no, this is incredibly useful. And the thing that impressed upon me or had an impact on me during the summit was that it's going to be a utility. The processing power is becoming cheaper and cheaper to make. And this is separate from the environmental impacts and all of that cost. But like most of us in the developed country can afford to pay an electric bill. But electricity gives us an incredible advantage. But if you don't have that, life is very different.
Yeah. And saying like the same disruption happened when electricity came on the market. There were people that resisted it. There were people that said, this is not the way forward. And the early adopters had this huge advantage that then turned into
everyone.
But you did mention the impact on the planet. And the same is true for electricity. And we are in an era right now and in a place in our planet that does require all of us to look at those costs.
Yeah.
Because it's not just separate from us. We are dependent on our planet. And if we ruin our planet with our need for more information and more convenience, that's not very smart of us. So.
Right. And is it just information convenience, or is it a way forward into a better future? And that's like, I think the big debate here, which again, we're not a tech podcast, so I don't think we're going to like be debating this. But my point was to educate a little bit about GPTs, because I feel like there's an impact to how much you can utilize this for change.
The other thing that really impacted me that was in that same line of thinking was that intellect will become a commodity.
Say more.
So in our previous system, the higher intellect you had, the more value and earnability you had in our system. Now, because chat has such an upper hand, heads and heads above any PhD, and everybody has access to that amount of intellect, it's going to even the playing field. And intellect will become a commodity.
My baby's waking up.
And your dog's barking.
I hear that both. But I want to share real quick what GPTs are. GPTs generate things. So usually it's text, but newer versions could also handle images, code, and more. They write essays, answer questions, summarize content, etc. They can be pre-trained though. And this is the subject of the summit, and what Tony Robbins is offering as a product coming out of that is the AI Advantage 30-day boot camp to clone yourself, essentially. And I don't mean this to be an advertisement for them, but I think this is one of probably many companies who are going to go this way, because ChatGPT and other AI large language models are pattern recognition, as I said, and to be able to take you as a person and all that you do and want to do and create a thought partner, as you said, to do not more, but to do the same things you do so that you can do what you do human that it can't, is this like proposal that they're offering. Mm-hmm. Before you ever interact with a GPT, it has already been trained on a huge amount of text data from books, websites, and other resources. This training helps it learn grammar and language patterns, facts about the world, how to reason and follow instructions. you can go in and create your own GPT for whatever you want it to be. So personally, I just use it for the beginnings of creating a health coach and advisor. And I'm going to try to do that, but specific for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have a private little health coach advisor, but I train it with all of my data and all information, which is a little, I think, part of the fear of like giving over all this information. I personally surrendered many years ago as a tech enthusiast to surrender my information to Google. I was like, Google's going to have it anyway.
Data.
I'm okay.
There's my data. Yeah.
But that might not be everybody's values. So it's an interesting like way of trust, reliability on it, not wanting to overly rely, because there's a lot of really weird things that happen when people use it for everything
Mm-hmm.
and stop thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. The reason we brought this up though is just because of how much change is going to happen with it.
What we think and
Yeah.
what a lot of people and experts that are in that field are observing.
Yeah. The biggest impact it's had on you. Where do you see change?
Sounds so cheesy. Fuck. But it's true. It feels like it helps me reach my fuller potential, both in intellect and the systems I would want to run for my life. Currently, that's not the case since I had my son, because that has not been where I've gone, meaning I just don't sit down at the computer as much up to this point. But he's about to be, I think, 15 months old next month. And so I'm in a state of change to where this season I'm ready to engage again with some of those systems in my life. And I can see myself really leaning into this to support my life and give me time back.
Hmm.
But I think that as a expander of what I'm capable of, it absolutely feels like it. And I'll add that the trippy thing is what it feels like to me is like a material equivalent of the Akashic records.
Say more.
It very much works in a similar way as the Akasha. The Akasha is spiritual information, all vibrational consciousness, and every vibrational event in the universe. So it's a large data set, and ChatGPT and all those AI models work from the internet, which is a huge material data set.
Mm-hmm.
You give it prompts. It's only as good as the prompts that you're giving it, the examples you're giving it, what you're training it with, all the material you're putting into it to get out something that you need for yourself. And so that interaction feels very similar
Mm-hmm.
to the Akasha, of going in for soul level, higher perspective, guidance, wisdom, insight, understanding.
And that's the Akasha. And then you
That's
would
the
say
Akasha.
ChatGPT is kind of the intellect version of that.
Yeah. The way that it functions. And so I think, to me, what gets exciting is, have I used this yet? Has this been the impact yet? No, but I think this is where I'm going, is like, how can it do both? How can I pull what's best for me, what's most aligned for me from my soul's perspective in that holistic, deeper, truth aligned place, and then make ChatGPT go to work for me, or make Claude go to work for me, to make sure that I'm living within that balanced, aligned space.
And have you thought about doing that for others?
Yeah.
Like being a practitioner who bridges that gap for people?
Yeah, I do. I want to, and I haven't had that many clients since I gave birth, but I actually had one yesterday where I had to check myself because they were going through something really intense, and something that came up. I thought personally inside of it, I thought, oh, that's an AI. An AI can help her, and I didn't share that because that's my thought.
Mhm.
Right. And then we go along into the session, and then the Akasha is like, okay, yeah, this is now why she came to you, because you're meant to share this information about AI. And I was like, Milianka, I don't know about that. is that right? I still have those doubts as a practitioner, and I have to trust and dig deep and, relax. And I shared that. I was like, I think this is where AI can help you with the specific thing that you brought up. And what was wonderful, affirming to me, was she was like, oh yeah, I'm already doing that. And that always, to me, is like, okay, good. And then the expansion. Okay, now you can do more. Like this, and this. Not telling someone or giving information that's so off base that they're like, oh my God, now I have to go do what? She's like, oh yeah, I already did that. And now the expansion can happen, and she can dig deeper into what maybe she didn't know just based on my offering of what I did. So that excited me to be able to really constitute change in people's life as an integrator of AI. Because I just think that this is, if it's a utility, you don't want to be left behind, right? I mean,
yeah, it's interesting. Of course. Yes, I agree. But it's interesting because it's a utility, but like, it's going to like, it's a utility that so much of our workforce is going to be displaced by.
I'm nodding.
So there are obvious upsides of how it can help people individually, how it can help businesses, how it can help, in theory, free up humans to do what they love to do and what they can do, and that, artificial intelligence can't, to garden more, to do all those things more. But when there isn't a rebalancing economically, like that puts us in a very strange future.
Agreed.
And I know that's a jump from what you were just talking about, but that's what me as an individual, if we think back, to the ripple effect, me as an individual, how can this help me grow? But pulled back, yes, it can help me individually. But what about the people who are getting laid off because their job no longer exists? And there's just not the time. The change is happening so fast, and there isn't the time to retrain and redistribute for and make more jobs for people who are being laid off. Like, I mean, back in the day, that's why our government restructured and they hired tons of employees. And the federal government didn't used to employ that many employees, but in order to create more jobs, it did that. So like, we're at a place where leadership needs to help bridge this gap.
Or private industry.
Or private industry, or, even for us as individuals, we've always wanted to be on the forefront of how do we help people change? How do we show up? How do we be a part of solution-based problem solving for our community, for our people, for our planet? Like, how do we do that? And in the face of this huge shift that is upon us, that's tech related. So a lot of people, including myself, kind of don't quite fully understand its impact, or don't want to interact with it, or just are kind of not tech people. How do we stand in all of this and
take care of each other
and like have a positive effect on everything? I don't know what that is. It feels very much like, whoa, there's a really
big wave. Huge.
And I don't
want to make a mistake.
I also don't want to I don't want to be caught on the inside. That's for sure. And I don't want...
For people who don't know surfing, what do you mean?
Yeah. If you're caught on the inside of a big wave, you just get pummeled by it. It can be a very dangerous place to be if the wave's big enough.
The wave is big enough.
And if you paddle out past it, then it just rolls right by you and breaks closer to shore, and you're good. You're safe. You watch it go by,
So those that are getting laid off could be the ones getting pulled on the inside.
Yeah.
Those that aren't utilizing it and getting outperformed, say.
Yeah.
Left behind. I mean, and then those just paddling out and letting the wave pass, safe, but maybe not engaged. So how do you teach people to surf the wave of a technology that is ubiquitous, readily available? Everyone, there's a free version of ChatGPT and Claude that you can use right now that has huge advantages. You don't have to pay for it. you can learn about it. You can literally tell it to teach you.
Yeah. And every time you use it, it's costing water.
Oh gosh, that's
Every time you use it to write an email, ask it a question, every time you use it, all those servers and those giant databases have to be cooled by water. And it can't be salt water. And that's a big issue. Water is a resource that is not just prevalent everywhere on our planet.
I don't want to be doomsday, but I do keep up on a lot of this. And one of the speakers, one of the people who are outspoken the most about this, her platform is basically talking about the climate change in the same way, or climate change, and she's equating it to the same thing. Like, it's already too late. The way that big tech has taken this and the way that they don't, like Silicon Valley is doing what it always does, which is like, oh, the tech will figure itself out. It will find solution. That may be true, because the thing about the way in which the speed of doubling, tripling, quadrupling its abilities, meaning AI is teaching itself better every month, not year. And so the theory is that it will find solutions.
But just like they say, like with you get diagnosed, by a clinician for whatever, depression or whatever you have, borderline, they always say like your diagnosis is as good as your clinician, right? That's very clear. That's like very known. So that means like, oh, it's not a sentence. It's like whoever is that person in between you and that knowledge, that's the best version you're going to get of what's going on with you, right? And ChatGPT is that interim, right? It's between us and the problem solving genius that it could come up with to solve climate change. But our input is, our prompts are what are going to lead it to do that, right? And how many people are using ChatGPT to try and figure out how to solve the climate crisis?
Well, this is the point.
They're not. No, like, society is not utilizing this tech in a way that is...
You don't know that, because I think that you, as a utility, yes, of course scientists are using it to cut down their data sets, to run research, they absolutely are. There's no doubt in my mind that they are. Will it catch up with the curve? Can it do it fast enough?
But it's not, it still depends on all of our planet and all the systems we're running to shift. Well, ChatGPT can figure that out.
But then implementation
is completely different. And meanwhile, it's contributing to the problem.
Absolutely. So it is a conundrum.
It's a conundrum.
You might be at the facing of the end of the world. So let's figure out.
Let's take a break and play some really cheerful music.
Done and done.
Just to help balance this out.
Do you have to go?
Oh yeah, probably. What time is it?
I don't know.
I've got 3 minutes. Yeah. So I think, to bring it back, there is this tech. I mean, you and I have been using it to our advantage and to the planet's disadvantage.
Yes.
And, we want our community to be informed and to have information about this thing that's coming so that we don't, get sideswiped by it.
Yeah.
But also I pose that question, the whole point of us starting this was to show up and to explore what changes we can make in ourselves that have a wider effect on our community and then the world. And in the context of AI, how do you think we should do that?
I think learn. One of the quotes from that I wrote down was from Tony Robbins himself. He said, learn. And I'm not like the biggest Tony Robbins fan, meaning I have a healthy level of skepticism toward his ability to sell anything. And that's fair. But no doubt that he is a leader in what he does. And if it's sales, yes, but then besides sales, he's feeding millions, if not billions of people. And he's helping, and he genuinely wants to. I believe that. So one of his quotes is learn, have your learning align you to action. I get excited about how it can actually help and be positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of things that need to get figured out about it, but I am an optimist. I am a technology optimist. That's my stance on it. So I feel that we've always partnered with technology. And of course, the past isn't an accurate representation of the future, but man, patterns are real. And human beings have, from the dawn of our Homo sapiens sapien, have used technology to advance ourselves. That is a fact. And so I don't think this is any different. It's definitely different in the way and how fast it's going to move. But it is in a way in our nature to partner with technology. And I just want that to be felt as helpful.
I think our community does want what's best for the whole. And I think my piece of advice would be to use it to explore the things that really matter to you. And think on your own, be the thought leader, let it be the thought partner. Use it, responsibly, use it to your advantage, but also just aligned with your true interests and what you really care about and what you really want to change. Not using it frivolously, remembering it has impact. And while, it's being collectively used much more than I could possibly use in my little bit of time, but I think it's good to put it in context and remember that there is a cost behind it.
I absolutely agree. I do that. And I get uncomfortable when I see people like, when I see people using it like Google, I'm be honest with all of the Almost Clan right now. It pisses me off just a little. When I say, do you know where the nearest coffee shop is? And someone goes, oh, let me ask chat. No.
Yeah. Well, I've used it. I've used it for, you can't hear her on the recording.
I hope you can't hear that dog on the recording because she's going off.
Well, I have to go, but yes. I've definitely used it for dumb things and I'm taking responsibility for that. But I also think I'm using it in a way that is going to really help me have more time and reach my goals to where I can be in a place that is better able to spend time on the things that do really matter to me and to have stability and clarity and, hopefully help grow this podcast.
That's the same. I was going to say, I hope to apply it to the podcast. I also hope to, like I mentioned earlier, apply it in helping clients, especially with clarity coaching.
Oh my gosh.
That used to be coaching. What I used to do. You know what I mean?
That was my favorite thing you did. Like doing that with you it reduced my anxiety so much. It helped me plan so much better than I could have possibly ever done by myself. And it just helped me get clarity.
But that's what an AI can do. I mean, that's what I feel like my clarity coaching is almost obsolete because an AI, if you knew how to use it that way, can do that for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited for people to, I've always been excited to not have a bottleneck be me, the practitioner, to be able to do it for your fucking self, to have that empowerment, to be able to take that and know anytime you need, you can get the clarity you want. You can put all your schedules in, you can put all your things in, you can ask it to prioritize for you. You can, and you don't want to give it power, but you want to make it work in the way that you can't if your mind is overloaded or overwhelmed, or if you just have too many good things happening. It doesn't matter, have to be bad. Like, I want that to be the empowerment for someone to be able to turn to when they don't have the money to pay me, or they just, the time or whatever it is. And I am very confident that the way my mind works and how much I love clarity coaching, that I can use those tools to exponentially help even more. Mm-hmm. So I'm not worried about replacement as much as I'm like, use it. And then you and me are both going to come together with our knowledge, clarity coach, and get that much more out of it.
Yeah. I thought about mixing that, like mixing tech with the human element to create coaching courses and just, because I think that chat lacks in that humanistic part, right? Of having somebody on the other line. I don't think there's anything that can replace being human, the energy exchange, the empathetic, even just the social cues that we hold for each other. Those are really important. And I think the combination of using those with AI or using AI with humanistic help.
Well, because what you're touching on is really important, that there are really dangerous interactions with AI when there is no check, because it is the sycophanticness of it.
Yeah, there's people having AI psychotic breaks.
Induced psychopathy
Mhm.
because of the nature in which it sounds like it'll just feed you back your own loop.
Yeah,
It can be a dangerous echo chamber.
Left brain and right brain problems, and to not have chat try to solve your creative problems, but to have it solve your complex problems, your computing problems, your bits problems, essentially, like the systems that you're running, not what's going wrong in your marriage or your philosophical questions or what you really want out of life or how you think about the world and your stance in it or your religion or whatever that is. That's not what chat's for. And I think that's important to really tell people. And I think in our show notes, I would love to list out all the speakers that were at that summit so that people can
find them,
because they're Tony Robbins is no skimp. He literally is paying those people and finding those people who are at the top of their industry to help people grow and him sell his business. So like, those were very impactful speakers. I learned a lot. And so just knowing to have that access to those people who have been doing it, who do have social media channels that you can learn from, and we're getting for free, and having that accessibility out there,
I agree,
is definitely something I'd like to share with everybody. And then beyond that, I mean, maybe just some basic prompts and things that we've learned and etiquette on using chat. And
I'm sure it'll come
AI.
up more. I think that's the other thing. I think it'll just, the ubiquitous nature of it and how it's going to be integrated, I know in my life, is it's going to be mentioned as we talk about life on these kitchen table talks.
Yeah. But I mean, like what kind of resources we can give our community.
That's what I mean, because I'm going to be interacting.
Gotcha.
What helps me will hopefully help someone else. So absolutely, I think that's a good idea. You have to go to work.
I gotta go. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Signing off.
Love y'all.
Ciao. So we had this conversation.
That conversation that people just heard
8 months ago.
Damn.
And
so much has changed.
And obviously AI is moving so fast. And you just mentioned it's beyond what we can wrap our heads around and have time to learn and consume and
share in any meaningful way to be helpful, maybe.
Yeah. But we did feel like it was important to do a follow-up from that because of how far it's come, without repeating ourselves on the main themes of like, yes, it's still costing energy. Yes, it is still rapidly displacing and replacing, and there is opportunity for so many amazing things with it.
Yeah.
Those things are all still true.
But just wanting to touch base with you and me and be like, okay, before this AI episode goes out, what else do we want to, what do we want to follow up with?
Okay, one thing I definitely want to follow up with that I have watched since we recorded that was the AI doc, How I Became an Apocalyptimist.
That's the name of it. The AI doc, How I Became an Apocalyptimist.
Yeah.
Real name. It did not disappoint.
And it's on YouTube and you had to pay for it. But it was
worth it.
Well worth it to educate yourself. It interviewed some of the top.
All of the top people.
Except for Elon. And it went over the pessimists and the optimists of AI.
So you get a good whole view, 360 view of what the topic of this is, how it's being approached and how it's being talked about by the experts.
Yeah. On the pessimist side saying, some AI researchers fear that their children may not live to see high school.
That's serious.
With the optimist side arguing that like smart machines are necessary to cure diseases, combat major systematic hurdles, and like usher in humanity forward.
Right. So like we don't move forward without it. And this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to us. This is kind of the plot on that side.
And my biggest takeaway was like, whoa, this thing is moving so fast. And even the people who create it, who own these companies, don't know what is going to happen and what it's capable of. And they're like, even the ones who are
all in on it are like, this could be amazing or this could be a fucking disaster. And they're like the top. And so that really stayed with me, that because of that and because of how fast it's moving, it's important for us as a society to speak up for the regulations we want to have put in place so that it doesn't get out of our control as a society, saying what we want this technology to be used for and how we want it to be used.
And specifically individuals, like not even society, like you as an individual, it will impact your life so profoundly that it is worth, if you've never done it, do it now. Call your Congress people.
We need to do that. I haven't done that.
I haven't done it yet, and I want to, because it is legit, like probably one of the biggest change makers. Like meaning this technology and who's using it and how they're using it and what is not or is going to get regulated by who is absolutely the most paramount thing that's happening to us. And if we're not involved in one way or another, it will not serve us.
Yeah. And the fact that like all these major companies are in a race to
artificial general intelligence,
which
means a computing source that can think for itself, has all of the information available in the world, and will then be myriad times a million above any individual human or groups of humans or any other AI computation system.
And that is a massive amount of concentrated power, when in the wrong hands could be detrimental to life.
And nobody thinks their hands are the wrong hands.
Everybody thinks they're the most responsible party to hold that. And they're all in a giant race to get there. They're putting massive amounts of money
This includes the US government, China's government, like this is government level as well.
And they're whoever can get there fastest is going to hold the keys to the kingdom. And so the ones that are cutting the corners for safety, security, public knowledge, all of it, are getting there faster, are cutting corners. And so that's kind of our responsibility, is to be like, wait a minute, I would like this to be regulated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's only our country. And
go watch the doc. I'm not going to like go into all these. I don't think it serves us. The doc is there made by professionals doing it way better than us. The thing is like, there are these major companies that you are putting, if you're going to choose to use them, putting your money or your information in.
Data
matters who you put it toward. So cancel your ChatGPT account. I need to do that.
I have.
Try to go to Anthropic, which is Claude, or...
But why do you say that? Because people have their, personal opinions of what is better and what they like.
No, of course. And I don't mean like actually go. I just mean go do the research for yourself and figure out which one
you
aligns with your values. Excuse me. But I said Claude kind of as my own, because Anthropic as a company has based itself on ethical AI, whereas the information coming from how you are as the user are protected and or at least given the choice to protect your data, etc. And then just choices that it made, and one of the CEOs is a woman. So
yeah,
have at that. And she's an English lit major.
Speaking of educating yourself, amazing women, and this theme, I have to plug our newsletter, because our producer, Michelle Asaro, writes our newsletter, and she wrote an amazing piece on AI and how to use it, and just best practices for it. And it's for anybody who's just starting to use AI or is already using AI. There's solid information in there about exactly that.
Yeah, and you get it on our Patreon. If you go to our Patreon, and you can get it there.
But if you just want to sign up for our newsletter in general, you can go to www.rippleeffectpod.com, and you can sign up for our newsletter there, and then you'll never miss another one.
So going back to AI, what blows my mind and why I kind of wanted to come on and do a follow-up is, I'm not sure, if you're not a geek or a nerd about it, I'm not sure if people actually know what it means when people say AI and that it's moving faster than humans can catch up to it. So the term AI is now becoming somewhat ubiquitous. Like everyone's kind of aware that there's this thing going on, even if you're not using it yet. And the whole spectrum to like, maybe you're using it every day, you know exactly what it is. And maybe what I can help and provide is like, hey, this is what I know and tell me what you know. And then we can go together and figure it out. I did recently watch this Stanford lecture series about how these large language models are trained. And it blew my fucking mind. I had used that term, like large language models, whatever. And you refer to all of these things getting trained. And I thought I kind of understood what that was. This lecture is a 2-hour lecture and it broke it down. I enjoy listening to stuff that is like just outside of my reach. So obviously I didn't fully understand, but it was accessible enough. What I took away from that though, this is a product of math nerds going through the process of building and training and post-training, which is what we do when we interact with ChatGPT. You just yawned, audibly yawned while I was talking.
Well, we always record really late and it's past my bedtime and I do the best I can, but then you give me warm beverages and it makes me sleepy.
And I start talking about stuff that bores you.
Just go into let's talk about
Okay.
lectures.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, let me get to the point. The point is, it was fucking math laid out of how to teach a computational system how to predict the next word. It's probabilities. It is just P probability of this word and then that and then this and that, all written out as a math problem. And it completely stripped this God complex of it for me. I mean, like, oh, this thing is not sentient. It is built by people who are engineers, and it is taking off in a way that no one understands. And for me, I was both kind of scared and relieved at the same time.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I've heard it said that the reason the hype around AI is so big is because these companies want to have more money invested in it and have it appear to be like bigger than it actually is and more inflated, and how much it can do and how much it can change and how it's going to, has unlimited potential and all this stuff. But when you dial it back down and you look at the math behind it and you look at the money, like follow the money, that like, yeah, they would promote that to be.
Yes. And here's the tricky thing. It worked because you have people paying for it and using it every day. And what that did, that component, us, the user, is the actual active training phase. Every time you use it, and you'll see 2 different options. Mm-hmm. Do you like this one or that one? You're training it. That's you training it. You picked it. And then this was the part that made me scared in a way. This guy worked at Meta. At one point when they're trying to figure out how they can make these models, that's why it's called a model. It's a computational model to get better faster. They were like, humans sometimes when they choose A or B, they don't really know why they choose it. And it might not actually be the best. A lot of times they'll just choose the longer version, like literally more words. And so humans are unreliable, is what they concluded. So they decided, let's just let the AI look at what the humans choose, but then extrapolate on that and do it faster, rather, so we don't have to have that many users. We don't need 20 people doing it. We just need 2 people doing it. And then we'll train the AI to recognize those 2 answers and then go from there and get the better version. And it worked. The math is mathing itself to figure out what's the best language to predict next. And when it's that simple, it sounds like, how could this thing be of use? Like you're saying, like it's the hype. But if you think of the power to predict language in a way that is prompted, meaning like, hey, make a business plan for me in the real estate space for the next 5 years to make X amount of money, pick a market for me. And you give it all of this information, and it has the access to the internet, and it has predictability of what the best 5-year plan looks like. It will spit some shit out that is computationally sound. Your job as a human is to check it and to make sure it's actually doing for you the choices you want it to make, not just picking the longer, better sounding version. And that requires you to go potentially back into it and go, I want you to do this better and that better, sure, but also to use it to check itself. Be like, you're wrong. Show me how you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Show me the flaws in this plan.
Run a pre-mortem. Anyway, those two things just stood out to me in that lecture of like, this is what it's really about. And each one of these companies is doing this exact same thing. And we are the trainers. So it's like, it's a thing that got let out before it's done on purpose for us to do the work. And they're all creating math that will allow it to train itself. And that's the problematic part of it, where singularity, Sam Altman came on and said the singularity is here.
Which means
these models have now reached the point where they can teach themselves better and faster than humans can interact with or keep up with. We are now not just on the same plane, but it's gone beyond us.
We're living in Terminator.
I don't know. I hope not. But the other movie that I wanted to reference was Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about a rogue artificial intelligence and a person from the future coming back to try to stop that. Mm. It does it in such a way that it's digestible about the real problems and issues that are attached to what people are worried about, which is a rogue AI intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So watch those two things.
Okay. I haven't watched that yet, so I'll watch that.
The lecture, I don't know if it's that useful, but I just thought for me as a nerd, that was pretty profound.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
It's also wild, Isa. It's also wild. It's like, where are we going? What are we doing? Where are we going?
Well, I guess like we got to ask ourselves that, right? That's what we always have to do. It's like, yeah, you can look at the big picture of like, well, how is it going to help society? How is it going to do all these things? But it comes back down to the same thing always. Like, how are we going to help society? How are we going to use this thing? How are we going to interact? We have our ideals. We got to live by them.
Yeah.
What do we want out of our future? What do we want out of our, tools that are available to us? How are we going to use them?
It's hard to not want to use it to make money, like meaning the only thing to use it for. That's a very attractive, enticing trait about it.
Well, it's a new industry. I don't think there's anything bad about making money off of it.
No, but I mean, like when you talk about like values, it's hard for me to think outside of like, how does this optimize my ability to make money for myself and my family?
Well, I think that that's a good way to use it. I mean, money is a resource that can allow you to then have more freedom and space to do the things that are meaningful to you.
Yes, and is the same amount of input and time best put toward, for instance, creativity, which will actually feed my soul, or building nonprofits that actually help people on the ground. Like, what is it that you're building? That was the other takeaway from 8 months ago till now. Our nephew-in-law, he's an incredible person and coder and software developer, and just he blew my mind. I went and visited him, and I've told you this. He asked me a question that opened me up. The babies were going to bed, everybody's going to bed. I was like, oh, I got to do some Claude work, whatever. And he's like, oh, what are you building? And I like blank stared back at him, and I was like, nothing. I was just gonna have it organize some tasks to do for me and like write some copy. He was like, oh, not judgmental, but he was like, oh, huh. But it was a 9-day trip. By the end of it, he took 40 minutes with me and I had built a website, our website. If you want to go, rippleeffectpod.com, that website I built in 40 minutes with him. I had already done a lot of the branding and all that stuff. We'd done that work, but still, I was like, what? With Claude Code. And I don't know anything about coding. I mean, zero.
Yeah.
That changed me because I recognized the difference in the thought of asking, what are you using it for? Rather than like, what are you making?
Yeah.
What are you creating? That felt like a maker question, which was a bigger impact than I'd ever put it to task.
Well, let me just put this back into your court. Like, why are those things separate?
What?
Why have you separated using AI to A, make money, B, be creative, or 3, start a nonprofit? Like, why are you separating those?
I don't know the answer to that because I guess in the compartmentalization of my own life.
So do you think that's helping you or hurting you?
I don't know.
Or neither, maybe? What about putting all those things into Claude and being like, hey, I want to use you to make money, to be creative, and just start a nonprofit that can help the world?
Yes. And this goes to like, okay, what are we now using it for? Because on that recording that everyone just listened to, it was interesting for me to re-listen to it because I was like, whoa, I hadn't even started. Now I run my business exclusively with Claude as a business partner. Like straight up. Every day I go to work, I open Claude.
Same.
And I have it work with me. So it's a daily interaction now. And from that Tony Robbins, while I didn't use the prompt that they gave for free to create the clone of yourself, I did take some of the concepts and set up the systems in Claude of like, what were my areas? And one of the first things I put in to answer your question was like, here is the money I want to make. Here are the skills I already bring. Here are the interests, the places I want to do coaching, acting. The podcast is in there. These things that were important to me. Give me a 5-year plan of how I can, make that amount of money doing these things in that way. And then I separated all those 4 things out as projects as well. So I have built out a part of it as my life extension.
I'm just laughing because I can only imagine the way your AI looks on the back end versus my ADD ass. Like, I can see the face that you would put on when you looked at mine. You would just be like, the fuck is happening here?
Here's what I think. It's all good. Like, everyone starts somewhere, but
I live somewhere. I didn't start somewhere. I live here. This is permanent address.
This is why clarity coaching was a thing when I would do it, because people organize their lives just whatever way makes sense to their brain. It might not be actually the most effective way to organize their stuff, not even their lives, but their stuff. And I am a nerd and really like organizing people's systems, and that just
you're really good at it.
Helping people organize their systems. I don't think that my own the cobbler has no shoes. I think someone could do that for me as well. Come in and organize my system. I'm not above that at all.
Yeah, I hear that.
I don't know. It's really wild to watch these models take off in the different industries. Yeah, and you're going to start seeing it everywhere.
Everything that it can do. It can do so much that it's overwhelming to me to think about educating myself in one area to be able to even have it do one thing for me. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the hack. If I can help anyone with something in regards to AI, it's this. You don't have to know. You have a teacher, and it's called whatever AI you want to use. Have it teach you. That's step 1.
Yeah.
Or just tell me exactly the steps I need to take to get this done.
Yeah.
XYZ. There are now tools for you to pick up that can help you in every aspect of your business. So Claude has the arm that is what we're talking about, where you can just talk to it and ask it, and it'll give you feedback back and forth, and you can work with it that way. It also has an extension of Claude Code, which is you can build shit. it has an AI agent now, where if you want it to go away and work for you, building systems of like, I need you to send this email and do this and do that. And those kind of things can happen now. And then the last is design, where it can design presentations for you. It can design web pages for you before it launches. It can do all of that. So there is, for a small business owner, use those tools that are available to you, that you don't have to pay a web developer anymore. You don't have to pay a marketing person. All of it now you have. Never before have women had access to the type of work that women have always done. Women have never had access to that kind of thinking and that kind of tool till now with AI. That blew my mind. I was like, that is true. Like, what?
AI, be my wife.
I do it.
I need a wife.
Do you want to know what I did today?
What?
You know I'm a bad cook.
Admit it.
Terrible cook.
Not terrible.
I'm pretty
Okay,
bad.
you have these really unique superpowers though. Like you're really good at making gazpacho soups.
I made one. That's not really good.
No,
at making
you've
them.
made 3.
Don't remember. Anyway, not important.
Very important.
No. So bad at cooking. And the reason why is I have high levels of anxiety around cooking. It just shuts me down. My brain can't think. I'm not creative. Never want to be. Don't want to do it. Hate it. So what I did was I was like, okay, what is the problem? I don't know what to cook. What could help me with this problem? I put into AI. I was like, I have chicken. I have red sauce. Help me make this better. Like, help me make a recipe that's better.
It's like Nate Bargatze's
Actually-
like dumb internet.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually said, give me 3 different plans of something I can make. And then it spit it out. And then I was like, no, I don't have any of those, but I do have this. But what it did is it helped me pass the barrier because I'm not creative. And I realized today, I'm like, oh, cooking is creativity. So if you're not creative and you don't want to be, it sucks. So I had the AI be creative for me and it spit out this meal. And I was like, oh, I can do that. Put a little garlic, put a little onions instead of just like whatever. And it was edible.
yeah. And you can also take a picture of what's in your fridge and say, give me 3 recipes out of just the ingredients that you see in this photo. And it can do that.
Yeah, that's the one I think people aren't utilizing enough either, I would imagine, is like taking pictures of stuff that's in the real world and being like, solve this problem for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it makes sense that you would, intellectualize the things that you're putting into it because of that's the material that you're dealing with.
But
right?
the shortcut is just like screenshots. And
Mhm.
as we said before, like this is the greatest change that our humanity as we are in it right now is facing. There's a lot to it on all the ends of it being, a socially important topic to be active in and participate in its shaping, all the way to then like the daily usage of it like a utility. And so I feel compelled to try to help people in my community understand what it is that it can do for them and why it's important, so that it doesn't just become something that is overlooked and not at least understood.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear you. I think that is empowering, and I think everyone should make that choice for themselves of how they're going to use it, and at least have an educated opinion of it, and then make that choice for themselves. But these data centers are just massive energy sucks and are huge and are taking up large areas of our planet with large amount of resources, and they're taxing our energy grid.
Yeah, the other part of it too is intellectual grid, like our nieces, right? They purposely don't go to AI to answer questions.
No,
for
they're in
themselves.
college. Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're not even, but at home, even when
Yeah.
we're looking at something and they're like, no, we're not doing that. No, I don't want the AI answer, which has a huge advantage in terms of intellect, because using this stuff is making us dumber.
Yeah. And like not feeding it what is yours. Like I was using it for building my class, and it started asking me like, okay, well, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you that. Like, I'm not going to give you this creative process that I've developed that I share with people in an intimate space that helps them build themselves as a human. Like, no, I told it, like, I'm not giving you that information. That's like my personal property.
Proprietary.
Yeah. And then worked on that in a separate doc, and then just had it fill in other areas for me, like marketing and things like that.
Interesting.
But like, I feel like limiting what it can have from us too, because it's just the same as the attention economy. It's everything that we're giving it. It's just data mining everything. Like you said, it's literally using us to help it grow.
Yeah. And wherever you are in it is wherever you stand inside of that debate of like, do you give it all so it knows exactly what it is and it helps you fully, or do you keep what is yours to know that that's your proprietary or just your personal information? That's a personal choice you get to make.
Yeah.
The point I was making with our nieces and not using it is a very valid one, because there's studies now, at least when you use this, what parts of the brain are dying, what parts of the brain are just atrophying.
Yeah.
And that's a serious consequence to be looked at and not be taken lightly.
Yeah. If you get yourself somewhere with AI, if you get the job because AI put together your resume and AI wrote your cover letter and AI did all of that, and you get in there and you're in a position like so many of these companies that can't use AI for privacy issues. Can you do the job?
There was a comedian that did a commencement speech and said, fuck AI was his whole premise. Like, oh, AI is so amazing. It can summarize your emails and it can reply to emails. And you know who can summarize an email and reply? Me. I can fucking do it. Should you be writing emails? I mean, summarizing emails, or should you have it do it so you can do other shit? I don't know.
Yeah, but also like put yourself in a position that it can't take your job away. Because if it can do everything that you're supposed to be doing, why are you there? Eventually, your employer is going to be like, I don't need this liability on payroll. You know?
When I watched that Stanford lecture, I realized that it is a predictive agent, and it's only going to write for you or create for you in a way that is synthetic. And you are the beating heart and life of your own self and creativity or input. The agency of that should not be lost. So a lot of times when I'm writing, I will do the thing I've noticed of like, have it write some copy for me for a marketing thing. And I'm like, oh, that is better. And lately I've been like, since I watched that lecture, I'm like, no, fuck you. My voice is better. But actually the words I chose and the way I was going to say this and the way that I want to come across, like that is authentically me. And like, you don't get to steal my authenticity because you're a math problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you are. You are mathing. I'm a human being, breathing, you know, and I get to have agency inside of this, and I get to have self-worth enough to recognize like, no, my writing is my writing, and whatever the equivalent of that is for someone else. Like, I think that that's important to not lose our soul.
Yes. I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay. I think we did it.
Listen, I don't know what we did, but we did it.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Ripple Affect. We're looking forward to exploring a different facet of change with you next time. If you found value in this episode, please take a second to leave us a review and share with a friend. Every little bit helps The Ripple go farther. Thanks for being a part of this experiment with us.
And remember, we're way more connected and deserving than society's false sense of separation dictates us to be. You're not just one person. Your singular efforts do make the collective change possible. We're going to keep showing up, and we'll never get to perfection. But if we allow the process to be the solution, we can trust that small ripples will make big waves.
Changing yourself changes the ripple. And what if a collective almost is good enough?
This episode was produced by Kiara Maya, Isa Griffin, and Michelle Asaro. Audio editing by Jessica Ansari. And music by the talented Nia Casasanta. Thank you all. This podcast is not possible without the contribution of your skills, talent, support, and generosity.